Betting on the NHL is easy. Now, I know most people don't watch it or know much about NHL in general, and that's fine. Even you, even me, we don't have to know anything about the NHL in order to be able to bet it profitably. It's just like any other sport we bet on. It doesn't matter how much you know about the players, the teams, or the coaches. And of course, when you are actually looking for your NHL bets, these especially do not matter. The last 5 game logs or historical data, how this guy does against this team, none of that actually matters. What actually matters when betting the NHL is using sportsbook data to your advantage and getting the best possible price in the market. As long as you're doing those 2 things, you're gonna be profitable over the long term. I'm gonna show you guys how to find profitable NHL plays, but real quick, remember why we use sportsbook data to our advantage and we just forget about those last 5 game logs and such. It's because sportsbooks takes everything into consideration when they are setting their projections and odds, and then they take sharp money on top of that, move projections, move odds to get their most profitable lines that they can possibly set. And when they do that, we're able to read into the market and see, with everything taken into consideration, what these projections and odds actually are giving these plays to hit, right? The percent odds to hit that they are getting based on the market's odds and projections. So remember how I said last 5 doesn't matter? Well, it doesn't matter if that's all you're looking at. The last 5 gives you no context. Sure, this guy has gone over his new projection for this game in 3 out of the last 5 games, but he's played different teams and he's played different lineups and different home versus away splits, etc. The sportsbooks know all of that and more. But anyways, we use all of that data and information at the sportsbooks, their projections and odds, to compare it back to Prizepicks or back to Flip or other different sportsbooks to find the best possible value in where there is a sportsbook or DFS app that is off and offering a mispriced line who is the outlier when comparing to the market. That's what we're searching for, and if you do that, you're going to be profitable, as I mentioned. For instance, on Prizepicks, when you are looking for profitable NHL plays, or any sports plays for that matter, we know that in a 5 or 6 man flex, we are getting each individual leg at minus 119 odds, which means we need to hit at a 54.2% or higher hit rate in order to be profitable over the long term playing 5 and 6 man flexes on Prizepicks. Now currently when filming this video, there is not really any profitable plays in the NHL here for Prizepicks, but these 2 are certainly off from where the market has them. So Prizepicks still is the outlier, but it's not a profitable play to stick into your 5 or 6 man flexes at the moment. But let's still look at them real quick. We guard to go under 0.5 player points. You can see the entire sportsbook market all agrees this is minus 130 to like minus 135 average odds for him to go under 0.5 player points. So they believe this has a pretty good chance to go under, which, you know, given what the sportsbooks have it at, they're saying this has a 53.7% chance to hit the under of 0.5 points. So not good enough to get in our 5 or 6 man flexes, but Prizepicks is off, being that you can get this at minus 119 odds in those slip types. Or maybe the face of the league, Connor McDavid, to go over 1.5 player points. Once again, favored average odds of minus 133. So the sportsbooks do love him to go over, but not enough for it to be plus EV in a profitable long-term play in those 5 and 6 man flexes. So if you have Daily Grind Fantasy and you're wanting to be profitable betting the NHL on Prizepicks, you just need to make sure you find plays that have above 54.2% chance to hit and get those in those 5 and 6 man flexes. And as you guys can see, it just happens to be right now that there's no NHL plays that are above that number, but there is plenty of other value here on Prizepicks on Daily Grind Fantasy. Now, if you guys did want to get access to Daily Grind Fantasy and crush NHL and other sports, I'll leave a link down in the description. But if you guys use code DustinDGF, you'll get 25% off your very first month. Now, if you're looking to straight bet stuff on like Flip per se, you can find plays just like this. I gave out Aaron Ekblad over 1.5 shots on goal. Now, this was last year. NHL is just starting, so I'm using some older examples, but you can see here why it was good value. As you can see, on Daily Grind Fantasy, it showed Aaron Ekblad, we were getting it at minus 110 on Flip, and it was telling us to take it there because 2 other major sportsbooks, Pinnacle and BetOnline, have this at minus 136 odds. So they are implying that at those odds, this has a much better chance to hit than what minus 110 odds implies it does. So you're going to trust these two sharp major sportsbooks or this app Flip? Of course, you are going to believe that those two major sportsbooks are setting a sharp line at minus 136, and you have 2 data points agreeing versus one at minus 110. So Flip is the outlier. You want to bet the over of 1.5 shots on goal on Flip. Another example here, Vladimir Tarasenko under 2.5 player shots on goal. Minus 115 on Flip, but average odds across the major sportsbook market at minus 140. So this is about almost 1% EV. Still, you can tell very clearly by looking at these projections or odds across these major sportsbooks and comparing it back to Flip, who is the outlier? Who is off in setting their odds? Well, you have 4 major sportsbooks, all agreeing that this has average odds of minus 140, all above minus 131 at that, right? To go under 2.5 shots on goal, and then Flip very clearly off from the market and the outlier at minus 115. That's one way to find profitable NHL plays, just line shopping, comparing the sportsbook market back to Prizepicks, Underdog, Flip, etc. using Daily Grind Fantasy. But there is another way. It's a new way that we're able to find profitable NHL plays. Let me show you. This is the Sharp Money tool at OddsJam, and it is elite. It essentially helps you find what sharps are betting and then tells you where you can tail them at the best possible odds. Now, I have done a full video tutorial on this tool here on the channel. If you guys want to go check that out, feel free after this video. But essentially what it is doing, it is tracking liquidity across exchange apps like Novig and Prizepicks, finding where sharp bettors are putting down a ton of money and showing you where you can tail them and bet it at the best possible odds. Tracking sharp money on exchange apps like Prizepicks and Novig is a profitable strategy because these sports bettors that have these crazy edges and are super sharp aren't betting on normal sportsbooks where they are limited, like on FanDuel or DraftKings. If they're winning a lot of money and they have an edge that works, they are limited over there. So they flock to these exchange apps that aren't limiting winning sports bettors because they don't care if you come to their app and win or lose. They are taking a small commission no matter what. So when these sharps have an edge, they bet it for a lot of money on these exchanges, which means that there is a ton of liquidity available on the other side of the bet. So when there's a lot of liquidity available, that most likely means these sharps are on the opposite side. Now you can do this for all sports, and I'll show you an NHL example in just a second, but here's the top play. Evan Ingram over 2.5 player receptions. You can see that there is over $2,000 in liquidity available on the under of 2.5 receptions for Evan Ingram across Prizepicks and Novig. That means that there are bettors hammering the over of 2.5, and you can see here, OddsJam is going to point me to where I can get it at the best possible odds in sportsbooks that are available to me. So I'd be betting Evan Ingram over 2.5 receptions and tail the sharps. NHL opening night was just last night, and here's an example of a bet I took off the Sharp Money tool, and I'll explain why I took it. As you guys can see here, I took the under of 5.5 goals in the Blackhawks versus Panthers game. But why is that? Well, when I loaded up the Sharp Money tool, I found this play at the very top. There was $15,000 in available liquidity for somebody to take the over of 5.5 total goals across Prizepicks and Novig. That means that sharp sports bettors were putting down a ton of money on the under of 5.5. So I went ahead and tailed them at the best possible odds I could find, which is plus 120 here on Sportsino, which was actually off from the rest of the market as well. So I was getting a great bet at plus 120 odds and tailing the sharps. And sure enough, we started off 1-0 in the NHL as this game did go under, and we profited 120 bucks. Anyways, it's a super easy and profitable tool to use. I am absolutely loving it so far. So I've showed you guys a few different ways and tools to help you profit betting the NHL this season and beyond. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and or learned something. If you did, make sure you guys leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out as I post sports betting content like this every single week.